Hi, this is Rob, Longevity Learning Lab, and my boss asked me if I could make a stand for some their new rod, the Thunder rod, filler rod that we're using for TIG welding. They're going to have new stickers put on, so he wants me to make a display rack for him. And so there's two different sizes, poundage wise. And so he wanted to make something presentable, so I had some aluminum stuff over here left over, and I'm just thinking top of my head how to make it. And I'm thinking, you know, like a pool stick rack or a bicycle rack or something, just so it'll stand up and still lean at a little angle, and so it's, you know, the center of gravity, so it's not going to fall over. So I'm going to think about that, and we'll go over to my magic chalkboard, and I'll draw up a picture and I'll show you what's going to go on. But some of this I really don't even have to weld, and but when I do weld it, and I'll show you what's going on. And we're going to use the innovator on this, the 255i, and it's already set up for the aluminum. It's right here handy, and yeah, I'll draw a picture and I'll show you what's going on. Okay, here's my trusty chalkboard here, ink board. A while back I made some brackets for our show booth that they used, and it's you know, with trade shows and stuff like that. So I had some leftover material here, and what I liked about it was that we had some interlocking kind of parts I could put in there, and you tighten it up with the Allen wrench, and so that's going to be pretty much my bottom frame, and it's really versatile, so that'll work good. That'll save me a lot of time, and plus it looks nice. You know, that's the thing. If it's going to be in front of the public, you do want to have it kind of presentable. You know, you don't want it too gaudy or too busy. So let me put this down for a sec. And what we're going to do, you know, my thought, like I was saying, it was going to be like a pool stick rack, right? So it's just you put it on the wall right there like that, and your sticks will go down and hold it up, and that's presentable enough. But they didn't want to put it on a wall, they wanted it freestanding. So I'm thinking, okay, how about like a bicycle rack? Okay, that'll work. Good principle. So pretty much we're going to use that as our square base underneath, right? And then when you come like on the side way of it, we're going to go like this way, and then the frame will be here like that, and then the right angle piece will come up not in the center but close to it, right up that way. And excuse my drawing. And then we'll put another little bracket here, and for the bottom of the rod we're going to have some little aluminum tubing that I cut. And so that you could slip it in there, and if I want to, I can make it over here too, so your rod can go that way and it can go that way. And because there is two different sizes, we got I forget how many pounds they are, but you got the bigger box, and then you got the smaller box, and so that's pretty much it. And real basic when we go back to the table. And I'm going to try to do some welding here. And like I said, we're going to use the innovator, and I don't need to use the plasma on it. We're just going to do the aluminum TIG welding, and we'll get set up here, and we'll be right back. This is pretty much what I got to work with here, and what I'm going to do is make the bottom base first. And what I liked about this is because of the show rack we had, these will lock in, so it gives you just a basic picture of what I'm going to be doing here. And so go like that, and like this. So that'll give me my frame, and then you just tighten them up and go from there. And if I want to, I'm going to put like a centerpiece here too. And then I've got some more of this that's a little taller, and that'll go up at an upright, and I can weld around if I want to, or I can weld it onto that. Might not even do that. But the main thing, I'm going to get that going on. Then I've got some heavier aluminum here that'll give me a little bit of weight to it, because I still don't know what the direction is here yet. So I've got that, and then after I cut this down, the boxes of our rod will go right in through there and just hold it. But I'm only going to have about that much. That way you can pick it up and get it out of there. And that's pretty much where I'm staying right now. So I still got to get some measurements for what I want. I'm thinking about 16 inches because we don't have a lot of rod we have to show. We just want it to look nice. So that's where I'm at there. So let me get this bolted up, get this cleaned up, and we're coming back again. Okay, now I got my parts cut here, and they're cleaned up enough for now, but I'm going to show you what I'm doing here with plate here I DA'd, right? I took the vibrating sander on there because when it fits into the frame, there's going to be parts where you can't get into, because I want to have it nice and clean, you know, not scratched up or nothing like that. Don't want to have to paint it if I don't have to. But let me go ahead and show you what I did here with that. And what you want to do to keep the scratches from scratching up your material, I just put it on a piece of cardboard and put it on the table with a DA, and just hit it lightly, get it nice and even, sand it up. That way when you flip it over, you're not putting it back on the table here, because you never know kind of grit or whatever you're going to have on that steel table, and the aluminum gets scratched up real bad. So we're pretty good there. So just sand it up, take a little dual action sander, DA they call it, and that'll clean it up, put a little texture to it. So what we're going to do here, I got for the bottom base frame, got my pieces here, and then it'll lock in like I was saying with the Allen wrench. It just locks right in there nice and tight. So we'll go ahead and we'll get that one piece in there. And what I'll do, let me go ahead and switch the camera around so you get a better picture of it. Okay, let's get this base on here. And like I was saying, we'll get this set up in here with the Allen wrenches. Don't have to tighten it too much, but what I'm doing is with the material here, the sheet metal, it'll slip right on in, right through there, into the slot. So then when you put it together, like out at the show or whatever, you can, there we go. You can disassemble it, because you never know if you got to go on an airplane or who knows. It's just better to package it away. There we go. That will go there and there. Just snug enough to hold it right now. Then the next piece will come in here, just like this. And then my other piece will come in here. Real basic. And that'll slip in. Oh, that one needs to be flipped. But when I tighten it up, you'll see what I mean. And like this. Okay. Now with my holders for the containers for the rod, I'm just going to put them right in through here, just like that. Even them out, and then I'll tack them down to that plate, and then that just keeps them from sliding out. Now this piece here, the thick piece of aluminum, I'm actually going to put underneath on the other plate, just as a counterweight. And so that I don't have to deal with right now. But what I want to show you is our uprights. How am I going to anchor it to this? That's kind of crazy looking, huh? How am I going to do that? Well, what I'm going to do, I cut another piece of these off, right? So I got the little clips. So the clip will sit right in here, but I'm going to weld it to the upright. So that'll hold it. So at least I get to do a little bit of welding on it. And then up on the top, we'll deal with that after. But let me go ahead and get this set up here, and then we'll tack these together, and the bottom base will be done. Okay, what I've done here is, because we want to keep it nice and flush right here, because that's where it's going to lay on the other piece. So I just take my little square, put it right up against that, and then I know I'm nice and flush. And then after it's welded up over here on this side here, I'll go ahead and I'll put a little radius on there, make it nice and clean. But I'm going to go ahead and weld all the way across here, because you want some sort of sturdiness on there. So let me go ahead and run this bead. Hope I'm not in your way. Little hot. Okay, I got this thing one tack on it now, and I took this out because we had to make sure that when I weld it, this doesn't get stuck to it, or it doesn't usually cause as like a heat sink. And then also here, there's coating on this aluminum. Make sure you get all that coating off. Now, not just this project like I'm doing, But just double check on that aluminum. If you're doing something that's supposed to be yourself, you're doing it in your garage or whatever, make sure all this is clean. Real clean. Otherwise you're gonna have problems. I did it kind of fast, so we'll find out whether or not it's gonna really work for me too. But let's just run a bead right quick. And then just come right to the end. Just stay there for a little bit because I'm not using a foot pedal. I'm just using my regular button. So I want to let it cool down. So then I come back and I add on a little bit. Just like that. And I was a little cold at the front, but I can come back and I butter that up a little bit. And we'll clean it up with the 90. It's not as if this is going to be a show piece. Well, it is kind of a show piece, but nothing too extreme. And then I'll go ahead and I'll round off a little corner there so no sharp edges, and we're nice and flush there. I'll weld the other side and get the other one done, and then that's pretty much it. Okay, now I've got the tabs welded on the legs here, and this is what the top piece is going to look like. It's going to go up like this, right? And then with those little bolts, they'll be able to go in these slots, and it can slide back and forth. But I still need to have a center of gravity. So what I'm doing is I take this other big piece of aluminum, and it's going to go onto the front of it. Okay, but actually this is still upside down because of the screws. When you flip it over and it's in a public spot, you don't want to see the screws and all that kind of stuff. You want it nice and clean. And so the weight is going to be going onto this plate here, but it's too big. So I got to go ahead and fire up the innovator and use my plasma. And this is pretty thick. This is a 1/2 inch thick. And so we'll go ahead and I'll lay that out. I already know my measurements, and I'll show you how I did it. And so this piece here, because I don't want to weld it when it's on the frame, because of this gap here, and it'll warp, it'll bleed through, so this just slides right out. And so I'll put that on the table and clamp that onto it and just put a couple little stitch welds. And so we'll go ahead and let me set this up for us, and then we'll cut it. Okay, I've got the innovator going on here. Let me, already got my lines hooked up in the back. Let me turn it on. And it's already set for the plasma, but what I have to do is my tips on my gun here kind of tore up. So I'm going to change those out, because that's the thing. You want to remember to go ahead and keep these nice and clean, because if they get burnt up and stuff, you're going to have trouble. You're going to fight it. And so that's why they call them consumables. You know, you got to replace them after you use them for so long. See, this tip is getting nice and beat up. I don't know if you can really see it, but it's kind of tore up. So I'm going to put some new ones on. And you got to remember too, when you put these on, that you have to make sure they're on there tight also, because you don't have to put a wrench to it, but you want to keep them all nice and tight, otherwise they'll arc out on you and you just have more problems. You get frustrated, you don't want that. So just nice and tight, just like that. And I got my new cup. Now I don't have the other little holder on there, because it's just more comfortable for me. You have to find out how you like it too. But we're ready to rock and roll here now. And I'm already set up for my amp, my 40 amp. And my aluminum, actually, it's 3/4 of an inch thick. And so I'll have to go a little slower. And I'm not going to use a burning bar. And I'll show you what I'm going to do there. But we're all good, because we're set at our plasma with the 40 amps. I got my air line, and I'm going about 100 PSI on that. And we're all good here with our leads and our grounds. And so yeah, let's go over to the plate and we'll weld that up, or cut that up, I'm sorry. Okay, here's my plate here. And I'm just going to get rid of this little hole. So I'm just going to scribe my little line right there. Just like that. like that. Doesn't have to be perfect anyway. But and then what I do, I just, so I can stay with my line, I just go like this, right on through, just go right on down the line. That way if I miss a spot, I can always come back to where I'm at. Just like that. And we'll take our plasma, and I just stay about 1/8 of an inch up above. Up, a little spot right here. Just like that. Then we clean it up. Like this innovator. Okay, that's cut. Now I got to clean it up and we'll put it on the plate. Okay, well here it is. There's the weight on the back, which it does help. I was surprised. I didn't think so at first, but it's okay. I didn't really weld it too much on this side. What I did was I put it on this side here on the plate. I went ahead and just went ahead and drilled some holes, and then I plug welded it. And it turned out all right. Yeah, I like it. And then on the sides, went ahead and I put the gussets on there. I'm going to go ahead and clean up these here. I'll plug them a little bit down the road. Same with this end here. I'll plug that off because we got some longer ones. It just depends. That's what I had hanging out. And then I've got some end caps for here. And that's pretty much it. And one thing I liked about it, minimum welding for one, because they can travel with this for other shows and stuff like that, because they got these little clips and Allen wrench. That way you don't have that big old bulky box you got to put it in. Anyway, there's Rob's rod rack. And thanks for joining us with Longevity's Learning Lab, and we'll see you next time. Bye.